Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, iTunes, Audible, and more. Because I'm on a happy 88 mission. As you know, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And so I have guests and topics to that end. Thank you for celebrating show number 600. If you missed it, you can free subscribe on my YouTube channel with my in memoriam. All the guests who have gone to the other side, they're not missing, but with their amazing, beautiful messages that we can remember them by. And I can't think of a better person to start the new year with. Please welcome my guest. Her name is Marissa Peer. We actually are separated by 3 letters. And I am so delighted that I finally got her to the studio. Marissa Peer is the creator of the multi-award-winning RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, and founder of an IamEnough.com, international best-selling author, motivational speaker, personal development expert, and leading celebrity therapist. She has over 3 decades of experience as a therapist and has been named Best British Therapist by Men's Health magazine and featured in Tatler's Guide to Britain's 250 Best Doctors. Marissa uses her experience of treating clients, including rock stars, CEOs, elite Olympic athletes, royalty, and Oscar-winning actors to inform her life-changing speeches and lectures. She has been voted best speaker at numerous conferences, including the Mastermind Group London and the Women in Business Super Conference, Awesomeness Fest 2015, and the Royal Society of Medicine in 2015 as well. Marissa launched her Rapid Transformational Therapy training program. To date, she has trained more than 10,000 students all over the world. Please welcome to my studio, Marissa Peer. Welcome, Marissa. I am so glad it's weird saying Marissa.
I know, isn't it
I feel
weird?
like I'm echoing myself or something. Thank you for coming to my show. A happy new year. Now, we'll start with, I have not an answering machine. I have a questioning machine. And when you call me, it says, who are you and what do you want? So Marissa Peer, who's not Marissa Pei, who are you and what do you want?
I'm someone who's always questioned things that people accept as normal. So I wanted to change therapy to make it just easier for clients to have therapy. I particularly wanted almost to put myself out of business by having children in schools learn ways of managing their thoughts so they don't become adults that need therapy. So who am I as someone who's passionate about helping people understand that you don't have to go to therapy for 10 years to get better. In fact, you don't always have to go to therapy at all. There are certain techniques you can do on your own at home that take minutes but can have life-changing results. That's who I am. What I want is everyone to understand that your mind is so powerful. If you just knew how to harness it, it would change your life forever. And it's not even difficult. It's actually incredibly simple. That's why I founded the I'm Enough movement, because so many of our problems stem from believing we're not enough. And rather than treat the problem, if you can just go back and rectify the I'm not enoughness, it sort of takes care of itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So did you know when you were a kid that this is what you'd be doing?
No, I always wanted to be a teacher. Then I thought maybe I would become a child psychologist. I was raised by an amazing father who was fascinated in the development of children and believed that every child had a genius capacity and every child should be treated as if they were super fascinating and interesting. So he certainly shaped me. And so I thought I'd be a teacher. Then I thought I'd be a child psychologist. I actually ended up working for Jane Fonda, which was very different. But I loved that because I'm always looking for, I call it what lies underneath, what's really going on with all these women who are obsessed with diet and exercise. And we keep treating these things as some kind of logical issue when they're all deeply emotional. Like overeating is not logical, it's emotional. It's like saying to an alcoholic, now come along, you're ruining your life with drinking, just have a lovely glass of water. I mean, logic doesn't work, emotion works. So I didn't ever think I'd be a therapist, but looking back now, I can see my whole life prepared me to be a therapist, and I love it so much that I'll never retire. It's so lucky when you love what you do and indeed do what you love, because it never feels like work. It always feels like an interest that you're pursuing.
Yes. Well, one of your students had nothing but fantastic things to say. He was on my show, Dave Scarborough, last week, and you have to have her on the show, but I'm so glad you're here. He used RTT with stuttering as well as ADHD. So it's not just about weight. It's about anything, it seems, that is getting in your way of believing that you're good enough. Correct?
Yeah, RTT works with physical problems such as stuttering, stammering, skin breaking out, having a weight problem, having nervous gas. It also works with emotional problems like fear of heights, fear of bees, fear of birds, fear of success. So it works with every problem, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, because of course, the mind can create the symptoms of any illness on the planet. It can create them, but it can also fix them, because the placebo means the physician that lives in you. You say, but yeah, but I've got headaches, I have migraines. That's a physical problem. I have a nervous twitch, or I get chronic stomach aches, or I'm terribly constipated. You might get their physical problems, but it doesn't matter whether they're physical or not. The mind has the power to go back and understand where that problem came from and to change it. And even with things like cancer, which of course we would never say we can fix cancer, but I often hypnotize clients to go through chemo and respond to it incredibly well, to have the mindset to change their diet. So if someone said, I've got a heart problem or I've got indeed cancer, I would use RTT to get their mind to really want to stick to a healthy diet, no sugar, lots of greens, to absolutely believe that their body could fight back. And I wouldn't do that instead of medical intervention. I do it alongside it. In fact, one of the things I did the most in my early career was work with infertility, work with IVF clinics, have women believe it's going to work. I've got grade A eggs. My husband's sperm is perfect, and they're going to collide and make a perfect baby that's going to stick. Because thoughts become real. And if you say, I don't believe that, which many people do, here's the thing. If you think of something embarrassing, you blush. If you think of something sad, your eyes fill up with tears. If you think of something sexy, you can feel very aroused. And if you think of something to do with food, your stomach will rumble. So every day we see the proof that I think a thought and my body makes that thought real.
Interesting.
And all I'm doing is an extension of that. Let's think a better thought and have your body make it real. I got a terrible memory. My memory is amazing. If I look at food, I gain weight because I have a phenomenal, perfect metabolic rate. It's just looking at the fact that our greatest pain often comes from the lies we tell ourselves. I can't sleep. I don't know what full is. I'm always hungry. I can't find love. Everything goes wrong. You see, these are not true, but if you think that thought enough, you make them true. And I'm all about, let's go back and look at your thinking and change that. After all, it's the easiest thing to change, and it's completely free, and it can become instant.
Interesting. We're going to come back, and I'm going to give you a tough case called myself, and talk through that and see if you can't help me, because I'm definitely one of those. I know better, but it still seems to happen. So we'll be right back with Marissa Peer, the founder of RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, which is probably pissing some therapists off who want you to be there for 10 years. I know I get told that too as well, but just don't go away. You're going to get to see Marissa work on Marissa here on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. You can listen now at kcaaradio.com. That goes to 5 million homes. It is the number one talk news station in the Inland Empire. And thanks to you, I am the number one 8 a.m. talk news show. And I continue. If you have missed any of my past 600 shows, please go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and you'll get not only my shows, but my red carpet playlist, which has interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, and more. And today I am delighted to have, I guess, my twin or my namesake. Her name is Marissa Peer, 3-letter degrees of separation from Marissa Pei. She is a best-selling author. She has a new book coming out. I'm going to have her talk about that, as well as 9 already published books that is based on helping people feel that they are good enough. And of course, you know, I love people like that. That's why she's on my show. Welcome back, Marissa Peer.
Thank you.
So I know better. And when people say, oh, you don't look fat, or you don't look like you've gained weight, and I'll say, yeah, but that's because I know how to dress. And if I take my clothes off, you're going to run away screaming. So I know better than to say that, but I say it anyways because I love a laugh, because laughter is my favorite sound in the whole world. I also know that the expectation that I look like I did when I was modeling, did 8 years of that, and have pictures as proof that I was super skinny and I won some beauty contests, and people will see the picture in my house and say, is that you? And I'll, want to kill them because it makes me feel bad. So I feel like I should take those off. I still remember when I was, I had my divorce diet. I lost 40 pounds in 6 months because I just stopped eating. And I know that I looked too gaunt and not good. But in my head, I remember looking down at all the bones sticking out and wearing a size 20 True Religion jean and saying, I look so good. And I know in my head that there's something messed up. So help me.
It's so sad for women that our self-esteem is linked to what we look like. What do you weigh? What size are you? And these numbers, what is the number on your birth certificate? What's the number on the scales? What's the number in your clothes? What's the number in your bank account? What's the number of followers you have? And we're getting so consumed with the numbers. And that's the wrong question. We're judging ourselves by, if I'm thinner, you will like me more. If I'm not thinner, I might look like someone who's out of control. And the problem with weight, and it's so unfair, is that, you could have a problem with spending, you could have a problem with prescription medication, but nobody knows. But when you walk through the world carrying excess weight, people judge you, oh, look at that person, they're weak. They don't have any control. And it's just wrong, because this whole, dieting has only become a problem since the media started to promote these images of super skinny women who've got, fat hair and tiny thighs. And we go, well, but I've got fat thighs and tiny hair, so clearly I'm getting it all terribly wrong. And the question shouldn't be, I feel better when I'm thin, but Why do I feel better when I'm thin? Because I believe that society likes me more thin. And you have to go, I like myself, because my biggest challenge with all of this is that it's all about abuse. I'm going to do a punishing workout today. I'm going to do the plank, 600 sit-ups, run in the rain. Then I'm going to punish my body. I'm going to deprive it of everything, celery juice and a bit of cottage cheese. And the whole dieting industry is based on abuse. Hate my body, punish my body, deprive myself of what I like, and then go, oh, I've been good today, I didn't eat. I've been bad today, I had cake. And the only way to have a body you love is to start with loving the body you have. Love your body so much. You think, I'm not putting donuts in my body, that's abusive. I'm not going to start the day with Pop-Tarts and Diet Coke because it's abusive. We'll say, but I love food. I love cake and pizza and beer, but that's not love. That's abuse. So whatever you're doing, is that abusive or is that kind? Is that abusive or is that love? And I've seen in my 34 years as a therapist, when I can get a client to love their body, because if you had a baby, you wouldn't think, I'm going to give this baby a can of Coke and a packet of Pringles for breakfast, because they're so yummy. You think, oh no, this little baby is so pure and beautiful. They need organic broccoli and some really healthy food. And the more you can love who you are, the more you start to treat your body with love and respect. And when you just do one loving thing for your body, it starts to do incredibly loving things for you. And that's a little complicated, because it means you've got to unravel this whole let me starve myself, let me be good, let me be slim. Slim is good, fat is bad, cake is terrible. And of course, you have to understand your psyche and human psychology, which means that we want what we can't have. The minute you go, I can't have cake, you want cake. Many years ago, I was doing an anti-yeast diet and I was in Spain. And I couldn't have any form of sugar at all. So in the morning, I could have a huge steak and I could have a coffee made entirely with almond milk and even cream. But all I wanted was a fresh peach and some berries. I wanted juicy stuff so badly. And I could have eaten tons of steak and fish and cream, but I didn't want that. I wanted what I couldn't have. And so instead of saying, I can't have it, which makes you want it more, you have to say the magic words, which really work. I have chosen to be super healthy, and I've chosen to be I've chosen to have berries instead of cake, but I've chosen to love that, because when you go, I can't have cake, your mind goes, but you want it. So let me ramp up the desire. So you have so much cake and more cake because it's so forbidden. When you go, hey, I can have cake. I've got 70 years to eat cake. When I'm 95, I'm going to eat loads of cake right now. I'm choosing to be healthy. I'm choosing to treat my body with love, and I'm choosing to feel great. And for me, that was a game changer, to look at chocolate and go, I can eat that. I've got 70 years to eat that. But I'm choosing to treat my body with respect. And when I'm 95, I may knock myself out with chocolate. But right now, I'm choosing to feel great about saying I actually prefer berries, or I prefer an apple with some almond butter on it. And I couldn't keep chocolate in my house. I couldn't even keep marmalade or honey in my house because it controlled me. And then I began to say, no, I control me. I'm not controlled by cookies or ice cream and all the stuff I couldn't keep in my house. And I can keep in my house, because the opposite of love is not hate. It is complete and utter indifference. So I really invite you to start saying, wow, I love my body.
Problem though, Marissa, is as soon as I say I look in the mirror and I go, I love my body, and it's the huge BS. You know, it's like, come on, you cannot. It's not possible. Look at these roles. Look at the evidence of not working out. And I know it's affecting. I don't feel like dating. I don't feel like, because I'm afraid. I actually had a guy, I won't say who, one of my past guests. And I told him, and he's a bodybuilder and he looks fabulous. And I told him, I said, I could never date. He asked if I was single. I said, I could not date you because I would be so body insecure. And his response was, we can keep the lights low. And I was like insulted because I'm like, wow, I didn't think that was going to be a solution. But anyways, go ahead.
Yes, because you're coming up against years and years of condition. You wake up and the first thing you go is, oh, look at the thighs, look at the stomach, look at this. And of course, whatever you look for, you will find. Whatever you focus on, you get more of. And it's very important to not do that. I had cancer several years ago, and I swore that when I survived it, I would never, ever berate my body. I made a deal. If you get through this and keep me alive, then I will never criticize you or go, oh, no, the arms need a bit of toning. The stomach's not what it was. The butts, that's not really peachy anymore. I'd just be so grateful that I had a body. And that's really worked for me. But you don't have to get to that level. You've got to imagine if your best friend woke up naked, you went, oh, my God, look at your thighs. Oh, my God, you need to go to the gym. Wow, you need to work out. You look awful. You would never say that to your friend because they'd probably burst into tears and go, hey, you know what? I don't want a friendship with you anymore. So you've got to speak to yourself the way you speak to your friend. If you look in the mirror and start saying something like, gosh, my eyes, aren't they nice and shiny? I got lovely hair. I'm a kind person, because you're seeing yourself through a lens of what's wrong with you. And of course, when you look for what's wrong with you, guess what? You will find so much of it. When you look for what's right with you, you'll find that too. And I was with one of my friends saying, when I met my wife, he said she was walking in front of me, he said, and her thighs were rubbing together. So it was the sexiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I was mesmerized by these thighs almost sparking. And she had a big butt. And I just thought, I got to have that woman. They've been married for 35 years. Because, one man's meat is another man's poison. People say, I love a little roll of flesh over the top of stockings. I find that so sexy. Look at Marilyn Monroe, Beyonce. The women that we find super hot are not skinny. Men don't really men like the opposite of what a man is. A man is straight and muscular. Men love this, the curve, the waist, the hips, everything you see on a wine bottle. It's also the curve here that goes from your neck to your shoulder. If you're heterosexual, men they don't want a woman with a six-pack and muscular thighs and no breasts. That isn't appealing. They want the opposite of them. And we want the opposite of us. I wouldn't want to date a guy who was curvy and soft thighs and breasts. I go, oh, no, actually, no. Because we're hardwired to go for the opposite. So you've got to love who you are. And I get it that you wake up and go, no, look what's wrong with me. But you've got to start looking for what is right with you. And remember that what you focus on, you'll get more of. So the minute you focus on, oh no, you'll get more of it. And you have to focus on what's good, because you're training your mind to go into a state of appreciation. I'm so lucky to have this body. My body is someone else's fantasy dream come true.
I will try to remember that. We're going to have to take a quick break for the sports, but we'll be right back with, I'm so glad I have this recorded, because I'm going to play it in my ear in the morning when I wake up. Beautiful affirming words from Marissa Peer. We'll be right back on Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, NBC Sports radio station, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, and more. You can always get my free subscribe YouTube channel as well, so you can get the past shows and my new short film called PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities. And if you're an organization that works with kids, teens, or young adults, please do contact my nonprofit, 8 Ways to Happiness, so I can donate books and programs to you to help the kids be happy 88% of the time. And we're back with my special guest, celebrating New Year with the best possible you, the best-selling author of I Am Enough. And she's doing her thing on me, trying to get me to release the messages that I grew up with. I had a mom who actually was a negative motivator, which is not uncommon in my culture. She told me I was fat, ugly, and clumsy. And I can tell you, I know that is also factoring in. And I chose a mate. My husband would introduce me to other people as obese. And they would meet me and say, "You're not obese." And I was actually probably 5 sizes less than I am now. So yes, I'm going to have to clearly take your words of advice and start finding things and see if I understood what you're saying, that I have to, or I choose to, not have to, I choose to treat my body with love and respect and make choices that are good, both diet and exercise, for loving my body. Is that what? Okay.
It's very simple. I'm choosing to eat like this, and I'm choosing to feel great about it. I'm choosing to work out, and I'm choosing to love it. You see, that says to your mind, you have a choice, and you're doing this because you want to go, oh, I got to eat rabbit food. I got to go to the gym. Your mind goes, you don't want to go there. I'm going to ramp up the resistance because you've said you don't want to do that. But when you say, I'm choosing to do this and choosing to feel great about it, your mind goes, oh, you've made a choice. I don't need to bring any resistance in here. And by the way, what we eat all the time, we start to like. Take the sugar out of your coffee. It's horrible. Keep going. You think, I can't believe I drank it like that. But you need to go back to, you know, I've worked with people for years, and there's only ever 3 things wrong with all my clients. And the big one is I'm not enough. And if you start from I'm not enough because I don't have a 6-pack, my thighs aren't thin, I'm not a size 4 or 8 or 10, when you think you're not enough, guess what you'll need? More cake, more pizza, more praise, more something. And whenever you think you're not enough, you need more. And so the second thing you have to do is go, I'm enough, just the way I am. It's like that Barry White song, I love you just the way you are. And most people do love us just the way we are. It's not other people, it's our own critical thing. I got to do more, be thinner, be smarter, be more toned. And yet there are people all over the world who look utterly amazing. Look at Whitney Houston, and they're unhappy. So it's not about what you look like, it's about what you feel like. And if you can just say every day, I'm enough, and I love myself, and loving myself makes me respect myself, that simple phrase will have the most mind-blowing effect on you. I mean, I've worked with thousands of addicts, alcohol addicts, drug addicts, food addicts, shopping addicts. I've never met one ever in my entire life who believe they're enough. And when we start to change that to, look, you're enough. It doesn't mean you think, well, I'm enough, I just lie on the sofa eating Pringles. You think, well, if I'm enough, then I can ask for better food. I can stop eating cake. I can take myself to the gym. I can make a smoothie in the morning instead of having a Pop-Tart, because it's coming now from knowing I'm enough and I deserve it, rather than I'm not enough and I need more. If you think you're not enough, you will need more of something. When you can keep saying, but I am enough, because that's the truth. You are enough just the way you are. No baby is born going, I need more cake. I can't get enough food. Babies in the womb, it's like being in the Hilton. It's always 75 degrees for room service. So we're all born with a belief, I can have whatever I want. It's all available to me. And all you have to do is reactivate that. And in fact, my new book, I made a point of putting in it 4 downloads, because I don't want this to be work. What have I got to say and think and do? Nothing. listen to this download every morning or every night for 10 minutes, and it will start to, just the way you upgrade your computer when it's got a bug, it starts to upgrade your thinking and get rid of the bugs, so you feel shiny and fast and better. So we should all upgrade our thinking. So many of our thoughts come from your mother saying that. My mother used to say to me, you'll never amount to anything. My father used to tell me I wasn't smart. And I always felt like a hideous freak when I was growing up. But then one day I realized, that's my mother's story. They wanted a different kid. But it's not my story. I was meant to be me. I was meant to be here. So don't make someone else's story your story. Any mother that would tell you what she told you is feeling inadequate. Any husband that would introduce you as a beast is inadequate, because an inadequate person needs to make other people inadequate just to feel equal. Superior people praise, and people who feel inferior criticize. So if you're around a critic, and especially if you're married to one, I'm very glad he's your husband now, is to go, wow, you don't feel good about yourself. I have people occasionally, not many, who will troll me and go, oh, I hate the way you talk. I hate the way you dress. I go, oh, that's fine. I wasn't dressing to please you. And the way I talk is the way I talk. But I understand that no one wakes up and goes, well, my life is so amazing. Who can I diminish today? Let me do some trolling. People who do that are deeply unhappy. Happy people praise. They're benevolent. They go, well, darling, I'm sorry your husband left you, but he was an idiot. You were the better one. I'm sorry you had a critical mother, but you had an unhappy mother. That's nothing to do with who you are. Mm-hmm. And one of the best ways to change your life on a dime, do not let in destructive criticism. Go, oh, you're having a bad day. Thanks for sharing. I hear you saying that I've got a horrible voice and I look awful, but I don't have to. I'm choosing not to let them, because here's the choice again. You could say something devastating to me, and I could choose to not let it in, or to be really upset, because here's the choice we have every day. Rationalize why we feel awful or talk ourselves out of it. I look back at my family, as crazy as it was, and I'm glad, because it gave me that, I'll show you. You think I'm an idiot and a freak and not pretty and not smart. I will show you. And I'm actually glad, because it gave me that drive to be someone, do something. And also it made me understand how when a child is criticized by their parent a lot, the child doesn't stop loving the parent. They immediately stop loving themselves. And that's what I did. And I have so much understanding for people who came from critical parents, because it's so familiar now. And one of the things about the mind that's deeply vexing but true is that we want to go back to what we know. Your mind wants to go back to what's familiar and to run away from what's unfamiliar. If you don't get praise, guess what? When someone criticizes you, go, what do you want? That's not true. You look amazing. No, actually, I'm really fat inside this dress. And anyway, it's got a hole in it. And I haven't even shaved my legs. I look terrible. So what you're doing is you're going back to what's familiar. You're rejecting praise. And even worse, you're adding in criticism. And if you want to change your life today, do one thing. Praise yourself a lot and do not let in criticism, because although the mind will go back to what's familiar, that's a fact. Here's another one. You can make anything you like familiar. The best way to raise your self-esteem is to praise yourself a lot, and that will get you off this dieting, starving, going to the gym mentality, because you're living in praise and not hating yourself and criticizing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Wise words. I will say that I am a lot better than I used to be, and my own healing journey. And one of my questions for you was, did you come about this yourself through personal experience, which you already answered? I thought when you started with your father being a very, I can't remember how you described him. I thought, oh, she's, how is she knowledgeable about not being enough if he was so affirming? But you just shared that you had the experience that the majority of us do. That is part of my, our mutual friend, Michael Bernard Beckwith, my big brother. He's the one who actually introduced me to Oprah as the Asian Oprah, in case you wondered where that came from. But he's a great, like, when I get negative press or negative, any kind of insulting, if I'm on the news and somebody says, "Who do you think you are?" I'll text him and he'll say, "Vent and let it go." Because it's not true. He's the one who believed in me before I could believe in myself. So I hear that message. 88% of the time I take it to heart. 12% of the time when I wake up getting a fat and ugly attack, then I need the reminder.
Ugly attack, that's coming from you. There is nothing on the planet, nothing that will build your self-esteem like your own praise. So it's a habit. You got to wake up and go, I'm a good person. Yes, I matter. I'm kind. The size of my legs is not what defines me. It's the size of my heart. You'd never look. If you look at your friend, you go, yeah, I don't like that friend because she's got cellulite. And I don't like that friend because her arms are a bit saggy. And I really don't like that one because she doesn't have a flat stomach. Our friends come in all shapes and sizes, and we love them because we love who they are. And you've got to be your own best friend and realize that voice comes from you, and you have the power to stop that voice and it's like a radio with two speakers to go, you know what? Yeah, I'm not a perfect 10. But if that made you happy, what's going on with all these supermodels that are miserable? What's happening with all these people that are falling apart with perfect bodies? Many years ago, some Victoria's Secret models came to my office, and they came in their Victoria's Secret, and my neighbors would go, wow, what's wrong with them? I mean, they're perfect. I'm like, no, they're not perfect, because when you're a model, you feel that pressure to look perfect, and they don't have the one thing that would make them happy, which is the enoughness. In fact, being a model is being judged like being an actress all the time. You're in a taxi with a meter running. And many people say, God, I'm so glad I'm out of that. My daughter was asked to model. She walked a runway and I said, Mommy, I hated every minute of it. I will never do that again as long as I live. I thought everyone was judging me, and I don't want to do that. And she never did it again. And I was very pleased for her that she didn't like it. She didn't go, oh, how lovely. My self-esteem is being fed by the audience. She didn't like being in a place where they were assessing her, because the most important opinion is your opinion. If you think you look great and you are great, you don't have to look perfect. And even if you could pull that off, you can't keep that. Eventually things sag and bag, no matter how slim you are. Eventually your butt gets crepey, your knees get crepey. And what do? You go, well, I'm aging, and it's better than the alternative. I'm so glad I'm here. So,
do you always practice what you teach?
Almost always. I remember Maya Angelou saying people will not remember what you did or say, but they remember how you made them feel. But what she could have said too is, you remember how you made you feel. So I do it most of the time. I have off days, of course I do, but you don't have to do it all the time. You have to do it 80% of the time is the same as 100%. I don't work out every day. I don't have a really clean, healthy diet every day, but I do it enough. But the one thing I do every day is run my thinking. Because I know I can choose. I can choose to be negative or positive. I can choose to go, oh my God, look at me. It's all going south. I can choose that. But I can't choose what it does to my mind and body. So I believe negative thoughts are a luxury I can't afford. So I do all the time revert back to thinking positive. The great thing about being positive is that you wire it in and fire it in until very quickly it stops being what you do. And it actually becomes who you are. I was on a plane on Christmas Eve. My husband said, I marvel at your ability to not let in stress. I said, but it's a choice. It's not, it's a choice. I don't go, oh my God, this is killing me. I'm stressed out of my mind. I'm at the end of my rope. I go, well, it's a challenge, I'm fine. I can deal with it. So it really is a choice to be positive or negative. You can choose, but you can't choose what it does to your body when you're negative. And if you saw what it did, you would never do it, because if you could look inside your body and see the cortisol you're creating, the stress hormones you're making, the inflammation you're creating by being negative, you would stop immediately. And that's why I stopped.
Great. Now, I have to ask, how long have you been married? And he sounds like a wonderful guy, the way you just lit up a little when you mentioned him.
He is my love. I've been married for 12 years, and I had to do something myself, which was, we talked about my dad, and my dad was a wonderful man, but he was paid to be involved in other people's children. That was his job. He was dedicated. And so I always felt he was more interested in other people than me. And of course, take a guess at what kind of man I went for. People like my dad, busy, preoccupied, because I had a belief. You got to earn love, work for love, face up, prove you're lovable. That's the word, prove it. And I was always trying to prove to my dad that I was worthy of his attention. I didn't get it that much. And I had to really have a long, hard look at myself one day and say, this is familiar. And people say, oh, I met this guy and he was too good for me. That's not true. What you're saying is I met someone whose behavior was so unfamiliar. I ran back to the cheater and the cold person that I know, the indifferent person who's like my dad. Well, you're not supposed to date your dad. So I had to begin to say something that changed my life. I am going to make a great guy who adores me familiar. And the ones I go to work for their love, that's going to be unfamiliar. It was a choice I made, and I had to repeat that over and over. Never go, I'll do that if it kills me. I just began to say, I'm making someone who puts me first familiar. And I said it, not for that long, actually. And then I made a point of really turning away.
How long?
Maybe 6 weeks. It started to
really? Okay, I can do that.
doing a television show. And my old type, compelling, dangerous, mysterious, it turned up, began to talk to me, and I said, I'm so sorry, I've got to make a phone call. And I just left, because I didn't just say it, I had to put it into action. This person has danger written all over his head. There's no pleasure there. And then I met my husband, who really wasn't my type, but he was funny and kind and fascinating. And I knew I could have a great life with him. And I began to go, yeah, I'm making this familiar. We were married in 10 months, and we're more happy all the time. It occasionally I look at him and think, you're annoying me today. But then I imagine my life without him, and I'm always glad I'm with him. And when I married him, we both made a decision. We will never go. If you do that, I'm leaving. If you say that, I'm off. We never, ever threaten our relationship, because that's such a silly, dangerous game to play. And I do feel very grateful for him. I know he feels very grateful for me. And I feel very lucky to have him, because he is immensely supportive. And when I created my therapy business, I'm so lucky, because I'm a therapist. He's a genius marketer. So together we became a perfect storm. We created this amazing business. He's so supportive of all my books. And I'm writing, he knows, listen, I'm locked away somewhere writing, and he totally gets that. And it's amazing. I focus on what would make me happy, which isn't a six-pack or someone gorgeous, because I want a millionaire, but they're often very busy. They're often flying around the world, and they don't always spend their money on you anyway. So be careful what you want. I wanted someone kind, funny, interesting, fascinating, a family man who would put me first, and he ticks all the boxes. I should have also asked for someone incredibly tidy. But then, doesn't matter. I can pay for someone to do that bit. That's the bit he doesn't do. I'm very tidy. He's very messy. But you know what? Pick your battles. It's easier to just pick up the tea bags and throw them in the bin than have a big deal about them. And we have a little conversation that goes really well. When I say, hey, how can I be a better wife to you? And I go, well, don't walk ahead of me at the airport. Put your phone down when I'm talking to you. I said, okay, that's great. I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to tell you how you can be a better husband for me. So we have a very clever way of telling each other what we want. We do the sandwich. You're great. I love you. But if you could only just take these 6 cups out of your office and bring them downstairs, that would be amazing. But I still love you anyway. In a marriage, the things people fight about the most, amazingly, are money and chores. It's so weird that even people with a lot of money fight about that. So I'm a great believer in picking your battles. But the other thing we do, which is very like me, was as I'm telling myself a story. We were driving in the car one day. I was chatting away, didn't listen. I'm like, oh, I'm telling myself a story here that you're not interested in what I have to say. And he said, I'm really sorry. I've just got a text from our accountant saying someone's hacked into our bank account. And I'm telling myself a story that you're not letting me have my time to do this. And I go, okay, so we do that a lot. I'm telling myself. But I told that story and someone wrote to me, good, well, your husband was cheating on you, by the way, because banks don't write in and say you're hacked. I went, oh, no, that's another story. Because, in fact, it was our accountant that was texting him to say, wherever you are, pull over and shut down all your accounts, change your passwords. But we all tell ourselves a story. My husband forgot my birthday, doesn't love me. My kid is so rude, they don't respect me. I said that to my daughter. She said, Mummy, all my friends swear every other word. It doesn't mean I don't respect you. It just means that's what I do. You're being moody. You don't respect me. No, I'm being moody because I'm having a bad day. I got my period. And so even with her, we do the story. I'm telling myself a story. I've come to meet you for lunch and you're being a real pain. But I'm telling myself a story. I'm trying to process that someone's upset me and you're expecting me to be happy and smiley. And so the story,
I call it going to MSU University, making shiitake up. So drop out of MSU University. And we're just running out of time. So I want to ask you two things. One is, where do we get the new book and the name of it? There we go. Beautiful. Tell yourself a better lie.
To get it is on Amazon, but you can get it in Barnes and Noble. You can get it everywhere, but I always go to Amazon because you get it the next day. And it comes with, one of the downloads is how to install your own cheerleader. Cheers for you, believes in you. Would never say, look at your thighs. Go, look at your heart, look at your soul, look at your smile. So you get it everywhere. And it's beautiful. Got 10 stories of people I've worked with that have changed their life. But the thing I love about it the most is it has something called RTT for me. And it shows you how to do some powerful therapy techniques on yourself at home. It doesn't take the place of being a therapist, but it shows you, hey, you can do this, you can say this, you can listen to that. So it gives you some amazing techniques to do at home that really can be life-changing, but also they're very, very simple, because sometimes simple is the best thing.
Beautiful. And I'm going to put you on the spot. Can I have one copy as an Asian Oprah giveaway? So the first person that goes to drmarissa.life and puts down Marissa Peer, not Marissa Pei, Marissa Peer, will get a free Asian Oprah giveaway copy of her book. Yes, that would be.
I'll sign it too, of course.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Thank you. And then the last question I ask all of my guests is, to who or what are you most grateful for? To who or what are you most grateful for?
I think I'm most grateful for my grandmother, because she was the only person that appeared to love me. But then I learned something, Angela, you only need one person. I had one person who believed in me. When I became a therapist, I realized that for many distraught teenagers, I was the one person who believed in them. And I'd say, I believe in you. You're going to be amazing. And there are many people out there, many lost kids, and we can be the one person. See, my father was the teacher who believed in lost children. And I became the therapist who believed in lost children. And sometimes you only need one person. There's someone in the world you can be that one person to. So that's been so important for me, to always think about someone else and maybe just give someone a smile or help them out, or if they're struggling to get money, and then me to do it for them. If they can't do something, just step up. And my husband finds it really, I think, annoying. I'm like Mary Poppins. My bag always has almonds in it and a book and my little I'm Enough bracelets, and I'm always giving them away. If I see someone on a plane, I go, oh, hey, have this bracelet. Do you want this snack? Here's a book. But I think if you can always think of, what could I do today to make someone's life better? It sounds a bit Pollyanna, I know, but just having, I've been on airplanes with screaming kids. You go, oh, hey, I've got these little granola bars in my bag. I think it's just, you can make someone else's day so much better with the simplest thing. And it doesn't mean you're a bit nauseating. It just means that when you give, you receive. If you give something to someone else, you just feel so much better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marissa Peer. It's been so lovely having you. I sign out with this little thing here, if you wouldn't mind doing it with me. It's peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her living room during the pandemic, wishing you the happiest of New Year's this 2022. Please practice all of those wonderful tidbits and processes that I've learned from Marissa Peer to start the new year knowing that you are good enough, because it's time for us to all go forth and multiply the goodness that we are. And remember, have the best day ever.